Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We're in the kitchen tonight and we are going to be making oat and wheat knots. These are a fun little bun, a slightly unique recipe with oat and wheat germ, and they're shaped into little knots, so they're also really attractive to look at. They're great on a dinner table. I make these a lot in the spring whenever we have many family dinners. They're just really pretty. I like them. They're easy to make. Everyone will be impressed. So let's get started. The first thing we want, one egg. Just an egg, just one egg. Then we're going to want 1 cup of milk. Anything except skim milk. So you can use whole milk, you can use 2%, just don't use skim. 1 teaspoon of salt, any salt you like. 1/4 cup of sugar. Then we want 1/4 cup of wheat germ. You can get that at your local grocery store. We want 1/2 cup of oats. Just your regular rolled oats, not quick oats. You want rolled oats. You do not want quick cook oats. Then we're going to do 3 cups of all-purpose or bread flour. There we go. And then we're going to finish with 1 heaping teaspoon of bread machine or quick rise yeast. If you're doing it by hand, you will obviously use either a quick rise yeast or a traditional yeast, and you'll dissolve it in warm milk and sugar. So we're going to pop this in the bread maker because we need to mix, knead, and then let the first rise happen. You can do this by hand just as easily, or you can use your mixer. It doesn't really matter. All of those ways are equally valid. It doesn't matter how you get your dough. You just need to get your dough. So we are going to get our dough by using our bread maker today. So we'll come back when our dough has completed its first rise and is ready for shaping. All right, so our dough is ready. It's looking really good. Feels like a marshmallow. We're good. You're going to need a cookie sheet. Okay, just so you know before we start shaping them. You definitely need to have a cookie sheet off to the side. So we're going to make 12 knots. So to make our 12 knots, we're first going to divide our dough into 4. And then we'll divide each of those pieces into 3 because that gives us 12 pieces. All right? There we go. And I'll show you how to shape the first one, and then I'll actually speed through the video on the rest because you don't need to watch me shape all of them. Now these are pretty easy to shape, and it's okay if your pieces are not exactly even. They should be close, but they're just buns. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Okay, so what we're going to do, set our slicer aside. We're going to take one of our pieces of dough, and we're going to roll it till it's about 6 to 8 inches, not longer than that. So that's what you want, is about 6 to 8 inches long. Okay, so about like that. Good enough. Then we're going to tie a knot. So we're literally just turning our dough like that. Then you kind of bundle it up, place it on your pan. So we're just going to do that a whole bunch of times, but I'm going to speed through the video. You don't need to watch me do it and listen to me talk about every single roll. So we're going to speed up right here. And there we have it. All of our buns are now rolled and looking great. So you can adjust their position. So if I don't like the way this one is sitting, I can rotate it. I'm not going to. But if you don't like the way one is sitting, just kind of grab it and kind of manipulate it a little bit until it looks the way you want it to look. Then pop it back down. But these are essentially ready to rise. So we're going to set them aside in a warm location. Usually I use the inside of the microwave because it controls the humidity and the heat. But you can just cover it with a damp tea towel on your counter if you like. They're going to take probably an hour, hour and 15 minutes to rise. So we'll come back when they are risen so that we can bake them. All right, so our buns have risen. Look, they look really nice, very nice little knots. So now we have to make a topping for them. These are really good with a topping. We're going to use about 4 tablespoons of melted butter, and you can just put the melted butter on if you like. but I'm going to add some herbs. Now here's where you can completely get creative. These are a very neutral recipe, so if you'd like, you could do a cinnamon and a sugar wash on top of them. But I'm going to do something savory instead of sweet. So I'm going to add some basil. How much is entirely up to you. So I would put some in, give it a mix, see if that looks about right. That looks good to me. How much you put in is entirely up to you. It doesn't actually matter. It's how much flavor do you want your butter wash to have. This does have to be butter, not margarine. So then we're going to put some garlic powder. We like garlic, so I put a fair bit of garlic powder. There we go. Get that mixed in there. Make sure it's well mixed. Now I'm going to do some salt. I'm just doing Himalayan salt, but any salt you've got. You should put salt if you're doing a savory topping. Not enough to make it truly salty, but enough to unify the flavors. I'm going to use a little bit of just plain black pepper. Not a ton. There we go. And now I'm going to add some Parmesan cheese. I'm using the powdered Parmesan just because it's really easy to mix into melted butter. So you don't need too much, just a little. There we go. Now that's the topping I'm going to use. So we're just going to bring this back. And we're just going to glop it on. You don't need to use all of it. If you reserve a little, you can brush them with this again when they come out of the oven. So there we go. Just get this on there. Now we're going to bake these for 25 minutes at about 375 Fahrenheit. So 375 degrees Fahrenheit. You'll bake them at that temp for 25 minutes or so till they're a nice golden brown. Yeah, these are delicious. There we go. So be generous with your topping. You want to get enough butter on there. They will be delicious. And the knots really allow the butter to sit in the grooves. So I'm reserving some of this to just quickly brush on them when they come out of the oven. So we're going to stick them in the oven, again 375 degrees Fahrenheit, for about 25 minutes. We'll be back. All right, our wheat and oat knots are out of the oven. We are going to take our butter. They're piping hot, by the way, just came out of the oven. Our butter should have solidified during those 25 minutes. That's a good thing. That means we can get a bunch on our basting brush like that, nice and chunky butter. Get that on there and just start brushing it on our rolls. Just use up what you've got left. They're very, very hot. They just came out. So use up what you've got. Just a light coating, because remember they already have the butter on them from before. And then that butter and Parmesan will melt onto them and make them even more delicious. This is really easy to do, and they are beautiful and tasty. And I recommend everyone give this a try at least once because they turn out so nice. There we are. A couple more. There, and you just want to use up the butter that's left because you don't want to waste any. So whatever you have left in your small bowl, just get that on your rolls here. And now these knots are really easy. You don't have to do knots, but knots are attractive, fun, and delicious. There we go. All right, so once you've done that, you're ready. They're ready to eat. Just wait until they've cooled enough that you're not going to burn your fingers every time you pick one up. Thanks for joining us here today at Andersen Acres. I hope you will make these wheat and oat knots on your own. They are a lot of fun and quite delicious. We'll see you tomorrow.